All right, so I see the live on Facebook sign, so I think we're good to get started. Thank you all so much for joining us today. This is exciting. This is our very first, what we're calling career chat. So we'll see how this goes, but this is very exciting. I'm going to briefly introduce our two wonderful guests today. And then we'll get started. I have some questions, but we kind of want this to be more of a conversation. So we'll get to see where it goes. And if anyone watching has any questions, feel free to put that in the chat. So to start off, my name is Tova. I've worked at AMP for over a year now, and I also have been part of many AMP programs like the Global Scholar Program, COVID-19 edition, online over the summer of 2020. And then I helped plan the first Power Up conference. So just glad to be part of the AMP family. I would now like to introduce Danielle Sapkin. Danielle is a first-year student at the University of California, Berkeley, pursuing a double major in data science and business. She's an avid violinist and podcast host, so she's in the right place. On campus, you can find her conducting undergraduate research on machine learning mechanisms, working with Bay Area tech startups with her consulting club, and utilizing her fluency in Russian to work with professors in the Berkeley Slavic department. So how does one person do so many things? We'll find out. Do you want to say hi, Danielle?
Yes, thank you so much for the introduction. Hi, everybody. My name is Danielle, and I'm excited to kind of dive in and get this conversation started.
Great, thank you so much for being here. And now I'd like to introduce Carrie Ann Tan. Am I pronouncing your name right? Okay, perfect. So Carrie Ann is a junior attending the George Washington University with a major in political science and a minor in journalism. She's currently a community manager for a creative studio, Social Current, where she works with social impact organizations to assess how to grow their platform on social media through initiatives like TikTok marketing, which is super cool. And Carrie Ann considers AMP Global Youth one of her favorite programs she has participated in high school and has met lifelong friends during the program and is very excited to be part of this panel. So say hi, Carrie Ann.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie, and I'm very excited to be here tonight to talk with everyone and share my experiences about AMP Global Youth.
Great, thank you so much. And I'm really excited to get this started. So to begin, this is actually a question Karen had, which I thought was really nice. To kind of kick off the conversation, what does the idea of global citizenship mean to you personally?
I think global citizenship stems from a very basic foundational understanding that the world is not as limited as you think it would be. So global citizenship to me is an understanding that knowing each other and conversing with each other isn't just limited to a border. You can communicate with people from different countries around the world, different continents. You can engage in very insightful and meaningful discourse around global politics or systemic issues happening. And so global citizenship is just kind of this really, really open-minded mentality that you want to just work with other people and you're open to sharing new information with other people. I think that's what global citizenship means to me.
Absolutely. And kind of piggybacking off of that, I think global citizenship is something that we all have wherever it is that we live, like whatever country, like you said, it's not a border thing. It's something that we all kind of have. And I think it's something that I challenge all of us. And I think that's something that we should challenge ourselves to kind of immerse ourselves in, whether that's in our community, whether for us that's at college, whether that's at high school, just whatever community you're in, to really embrace that and kind of understand that you're not just part of this linear one group. You're kind of thinking outside that box and thinking further. And I think with anything that we do, especially at college, I've kind of got to see the impacts that I've made in my community, but also thinking outwards. So how am I making that impact on a greater scale, on a grander scale? So I think just taking that into consideration, really knowing that you have this community, a global one, a global citizenship that everyone automatically and has to kind of embrace that and do whatever you can to kind of contribute. And I think it's really exciting and something that we can all contribute to as a whole and kind of build that puzzle piece.
I love that. I definitely agree with what both of you are saying. And that's why I love AMP's network so much. It truly is global and trying to connect these challenges to the global community. And then kind of moving on to another subject, I know for a lot of young people, kind of a big challenge is identifying their passions and identifying what they want to pursue. So both of you have such, you both went through the AMP program, but then went on to very different things, both really cool. Danielle with data science and business, and KariAnn with political science and journalism. So what I want to know is how did you identify what you wanted to study, what your interests are, and how did that go?
So I think for me,
Go ahead.
do you want to go? Okay. So I think for me, I had a ton of different interests. I mean, violin, podcasting, and there was just so many different sectors that I had so much like to take and learn from. And I think with Global Youth, I got to meet so many different people from so many different countries, which was an experience that I think remote, like the Zoom, it connected us in a way. And I think it was, like we all say, it was a blessing in disguise in a sense. And I think it also just gave me so many different outlets to figure out what I like and how I can incorporate that into my time at college, but also outside of that. And I think for me, data science came from teaching at a summer camp for coding. And I took coding classes in high school, and it was something that I liked, but didn't really know if it was a future, like what I would do with it. But then I started to do more. And then once I got the opportunity to kind of teach younger kids how to do that at a summer camp, I think that's kind of where it felt the most rewarding and the most exciting, is kind of teaching more younger and youthful generations kind of the coding aspect, the excitement, and so many different pathways that you can take with it, whether that's medical, whether that's the generic like computer science, data science route. But I think combining that into something where I get to both enjoy it, but also see how it impacts my community and what I can do with it in the future was really exciting. But I think in college, it's all about kind of combining those pathways. So not just saying, okay, so my career is in this, so I'm taking classes in it, my clubs are going to be in that. I think what I really learned is that you can do everything and whatever you want. And I think that's really exciting. I mean, you can take classes in one sector, pursue clubs in another, and take like immersive courses in something else. So I suggest everyone to walk into college with an open mind, because you can come in pursuing data science and come out as an art major or as a political science major. You really have no idea where it can take you. And I think that's something that I opened myself up to, and kind of seeing where I go. So who knows what the future has in store for me, but I think kind of just really immersing yourself in everything you love and everything you take interest and joy in is just an incredible experience, and something I encourage everyone listening to do.
So my college journey, and very, very interesting story, Danielle. And I actually absolutely agree, like walking to college with an open mind. That was something I wish I told myself about 3 years ago. Because when I did the AMP youth program, that was about 4 or 5 years ago at this point. I was a junior in high school, and I'm probably going to be graduating from college this year. And so coming to realize, and to answer your question, it really is what Danielle said, like come in with an open mind and don't judge yourself if you realize that what you want to do is not what you want to do in the end. I joined the AMP youth program believing that I was really wanting to do international relations and international affairs. And I met so many amazing people, of which I still talk to literally right this second, from the program. And I won't speak on behalf of them, but I can attest to how they feel, where they all came into GW or their colleges thinking that, yeah, we're going to work in government and make something out of ourselves. And I came out jumping through 4 majors. I went from the business school that I got admitted to as a marketing major. Then I went back to the arts and science school undecided in my sophomore year. And then or at the end of my freshman year, then sophomore year, I applied to the journalism school as a major, not a minor, got rejected, felt super dejected. And then I applied to the photojournalism school because photography is another hobby of mine. I just loved photography. And so I got into the art school, the photography school at Corcoran in GW. And then I didn't want to do it. I was like, I'm not really feeling it. I don't really like it's a thing I enjoy. It's not a thing I really see myself doing. So at the end of sophomore year, I just took a bunch of random classes. I was like, let's just pick one and let's stick with one. Turns out I loved political science. It's a little bit different from international affairs, where it's a little bit more specific towards domestic, but also international, but comparative international issues. And I found a really weird niche, but really liked Middle Eastern politics. And by not any means am I from the Middle East. I never grew up learning about the Middle East, just took a random class. And I was like, this is it. I think this is what I really want to do. But at the same time, this is not the career I'm going into as well. As much as I love learning about Middle East foreign policy, I'm also working in the marketing and advertising sector outside of college. So as I can definitely attest to Danielle's point in that you just walk into college with an open mind. There is really nothing holding you back from taking that one class you're interested in. You're investing so much time and money into the school. Don't do it because you feel like you're obligated to do it, because you want to learn it. And so I think that's the biggest advice that I would give now that I'm almost done with my college career.
And just to add
That's
on to
such great
that,
advice. Go ahead.
yeah, so like you were saying, you really have no idea what classes you're going to love. And I remember this semester I signed up for just like a regular breath class. It's something that Berkeley kind of like makes us take to fulfill like another aspect of like getting to know a field a little bit more. And so I took it and I didn't really know what I was signing up for, but it ended up being one of my favorite classes of the entire semester. So like you were saying, Carrie Ann, I think like just going in and just seeing what you like, what fits, and exploring that even more. And just, you really have no idea where you're going to come in with. And I think a similar aspect can be said about the college process too, because I know it's been, I guess, like over a year now since I've been a part of it, but I remember the nerves and the struggles. And personally, I was set on a very specific school, like a dream school, and I was all in for it. And I kind of shed myself to some of the other opportunities. And I'm at a school right now at Berkeley across the country, from where I call home. And I never thought I was going to be there. And I think in the college process, in and of itself, just be very open-minded, keep an open mind, explore your options, and never really say no to something unless you're pretty set on it, because just try it, just go. I went to Berkeley, I went to California in April, March to just visit the school and see, and I absolutely fell in love with it, the people. So just keep an open mind in classes and school and everything. And I think college is a perfect place to kind of expand and build on that.
Amazing. You both have great advice. And Danielle, I think you might be a mind reader, because I was just about to ask about college. And I'm a senior in high school. I just submitted my last essay yesterday, the day of the deadline. So I, like a lot of people my age, college is a big part of our lives, and it can be kind of intimidating trying to choose a school, trying to narrow it down, thinking to what the college experience might be like. You both go to pretty cool schools, University of California, Berkeley, and George Washington University. So can we just get a window into, how you chose a college that would fit your interests and personality, and what your experience has been?
Yeah, so I think my application process was in 2018 and it's 2022, so it's almost coming to 4 years. I got rejected from every single school I wanted to get into. Out of the 8 schools, I got into 2 schools. I got into GW, and I got into a school 10 minutes away from home. So I was literally left with no choice. And this was really funny. This was really rich coming from me, that dreamed of going to the Georgetowns. I remember going on the AMP Global Youth Program, and I remember telling everyone I had my eyes set on Georgetown. I had my eyes set on Northeastern and all these schools, and I completely unequivocally bombed the SAT tests, not because I wanted to, I just did awful in them. And I also don't hold myself against it anymore, because I've realized I'm just not a good test taker. But I didn't get into any of the schools I wanted to get into. GW was not dead last, as opposed to George Mason, which was the school close to me. But GW was right, like not where I wanted to be. I put myself in such a high tent pole, believing and truly, really, feeling that I could get into these schools. And so when I got into GW and George Mason, I was devastated. I was completely like, I don't want to do this. I'll suck it up and go to GW. But I wasn't really excited about the prospects at all. And then I went to GW, and then I spent my first few months there, and I went in truly with an open mind. I was upset. I remember crying as I got to my first dorm. I don't want to do this, like not here. And then it ended up being the best decision I've ever made for myself. And I thank the heavens every time now that, I made this decision. And GW hasn't been the best school, but it's been the right school for me. It's not about the best school that you're getting into, it's the right school. And GW is the right school for me because I learned so much. I now have a job lined up right after graduation, and I would not have had this opportunity if it wasn't for the fact that I came here. Had I gone to Georgetown or had I gone to other schools, it might have been different. It might have looked really different. So I'm so grateful now that I really do think things happen for a reason and you end up where you want to be. So, for you, Tova, you're applying to colleges, and I just want to say to you, don't feel disappointed, or you have the right, the feelings are valid when you don't get into the school you don't want to get into. Just roll with the flow, go with the flow. You'll end up where you want to be. And it sounds super cringy, but it's so true. You really do end up where you want to be. I'm glad I didn't get into Georgetown. Now I'm so grateful I go to GW. So that is my experience with the college admissions process. Not a very positive one, but a very hopeful one that ends happier in the end. What about you, Danielle?
So kind of very similar, but again, so the college process with all its imperfections is very difficult, very upsetting, very challenging. But I truly believe at the end of it, you're going to come out so much stronger with so many valuable lessons learned and just a completely different person in and of itself. So for me, I applied. I was very big on the college process. It was kind of consumed my senior year, even my junior year at that, because kind of COVID started. So I was like, okay, let me get a head start on my essays, on my application, on everything. So I was a senior last year. So I applied with the new test optional policy, and I did go that route with some colleges. Some colleges I submitted my ACT. But I applied to a little over 20 schools, which is a lot of work, a lot of essays, a lot of time. But with kind of the challenges of COVID and test optional and all of that, I applied to an ED school. I got deferred. And that was kind of the first heartbreak of the college process for me, because it was, like I said a little bit earlier, I was the person with the dream school. I was very set on it. I loved every aspect. I was basically a walking tour guide at that point, not even accepted yet. I loved the school. So that was kind of the first challenge in the college process, which was right before the holidays. I remember being super upset, crying, like very, took it very to heart. But like Carrie Ann said, feel those emotions. Like you have the right to be sad, to be disappointed. And the college process journey, those readers, I mean, it's imperfect in every sense. And just know that there is luck associated with it. It's not like you can have every single thing to fit that criteria, the tests, the extracurriculars, the grades, absolutely everything, and still not get deferred, whatever it is. And it's not fair. It's really not. But like I said, it's imperfect. And like Carrie Ann said, you really are going to end up where you're supposed to. And I remember my mom telling me this all of senior year, and I just kind of blew it off. And I know it's super cliche, but trust me, everything that happens for a reason, and you are going to end up where you are, like where you're supposed to. And at Berkeley, it was kind of the last place I thought I would be as well, because it's a very big school. I was kind of looking at smaller schools. Like I said, like those, like you were saying, Carrie Ann, some of those like very competitive schools, the Ivy schools. And I was very set on a smaller school, and Berkeley with its 40,000 undergraduate students is not that. But after visiting, after speaking to the students, after seeing all the clubs and everything I could get myself involved with, I was like, okay. And I started opening up more to it. And I think as the college process continued, there were a lot of deferrals, and I mean, a lot. There was also a lot more challenges to come, but just kind of keep going through it and know that on the other side, there's so much excitement, so much waiting for you. And just visit those colleges, keep your mind open to anything, and just know that you're going to end up where you're supposed to. And even if it's challenging, even if it's sad, just know that whatever happens for a reason. And I don't think I could see myself at any other school other than Berkeley, because as soon as I got there, I met some of the most supporting, wonderful, truly amazing people who inspire me every single day. And I'm just really happy. And I think to all of you guys who are college seniors and high school, just keep your mind open, apply, even if it doesn't work out, just know that there's something on the other side that's super exciting.
Great advice from both of you. Wow, I think we all collectively needed to hear that. So thank you very much. I wanted, so just reading your bios, you've done so many cool things. So I wanted to ask some more specific questions for each of you. So for Carrie Ann, you said you're a community manager for a creative studio called Social Current, and that sounded really cool. So can you talk more about your work with that organization?
Yeah. So, Social Current is a creative studio that focuses primarily on working with social impact and activism organizations. And what we do with these organizations is they hire us on to tackle their social media brands. So they'll come to us and say, "Hey, Carrie, hey, everyone, we have an issue. We don't really know how to get our voice out there, how to make ourselves be heard as an activism org." And so we're like, okay, we're young and we kind of know the tips and tricks and the ins and outs of TikTok, of Instagram, of Tumblr, So a lot of us are very like within the social activism space, but also are college students. And so now our work is to work with these organizations to make sure that they're getting the engagements they want. So that goes from 0 followers on TikTok to 500,000 followers on TikTok, but it's organic growth. It's not just we're buying followers here and there. We're actually like working with them and, building their account from ground up. And we've made it happen. We've had like the VP of LinkedIn just go up on TikTok and everyone else. And one of my greatest achievements was getting one of our TikToks go incredibly viral, just off an organizational account. And so my job as community manager is doing just that. It's engaging and it's doing external and internal relations with different organizations, taking account lead of these projects and making sure that I'm keeping track of posting and growing these accounts. It's not just about posting that post and that graphic and calling it a day. It's going into the account and looking, hey, what can we do here? What can we grow from this account? Engaging with other organizations. So say you're passionate about climate change. Okay, so follow other climate change accounts, talk to them, ask them what they like to do. Like it's really like going into the trenches and doing the work needed. So that's my job as community manager. And as you probably can tell, I love every single minute of it. I've met incredible people. I've gone into the weirdest places, the coolest places. I've traveled for video work and production work. And it's basically everything I've wanted to do. And I did a bit of that with Global Scholar a few years ago, but now I'm doing it as not just a high school hobby or just a college hobby. I'm doing it as a career. So yeah, that is what I do with Social Current.
That's incredible. That sounds like such an amazing experience, and that sounds amazing. And congratulations on all that success that you're telling us about. And I'm curious, do you feel like your minor in journalism like helped with that skill set? It almost seems like this sort of social media is almost the next iteration of journalism in a way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is also why I still am a huge proponent of, for myself, taking the journalism minor, because I'm picking up tricks and I'm picking up skills that I don't necessarily learn if I just sit on my laptop and go on Google, right? Like the university provides these resources for me to pick up video editing and video production and news writing and speech writing, all of which is very, very imperative to the job I do today. And so, like taking these classes, like everything within the journalism school is so substantial to like what I'm learning and doing at my job. But it doesn't even have to be a major, like at the end of the day, I'm still a political science major, which has nothing to do with my job right now. I'm just merely a very curious person about the political world. Yeah, no, journalism as a minor has helped me a lot. And I highly recommend it. I think social media is definitely the future, for better or for worse. Personally, I have my own reservations about social media as well. But it's a very good tool. It's a very good tool for networking and for connecting with other people. So yeah.
That's great. It definitely seems like you've made the most out of everything you've learned. So thank you. And then Danielle, your bio is equally cool. I'm reading that you have a consulting club and you're doing undergraduate research on machine learning. and are fluent in Russian. All of that is amazing to me. So do you want to talk a little bit about the undergraduate research you're doing, which seems pretty impressive as, a freshman. So
Absolutely, yeah. So it was kind of another experience that I just applied to out of the whim of it. It was during orientation week, and it was virtual at home, and it was just kind of another pop up on the screen that was like undergraduate research at Berkeley, apply here. And I kind of applied in the summer before I even got to Berkeley. And a couple weeks into school, I got the email, and it was congratulations, you've been selected to like the group of ULab, which is the undergraduate group that does kind of like the data science undergraduate research. So I honestly kind of forgot about the application of itself. And then I got the email and I was like, oh, okay, pretty cool. So honestly, just like in college, just go for those opportunities because you never know. You truly never know. And I had no idea that I could do this, and I didn't think I would get accepted. But once I did, it was pairing off into smaller groups, into cohorts per se, and we each got to choose our own topic and theme. So for us, we kind of decided to take a deep dive into machine learning and the impacts of it in modern day, kind of how does it expand, what is its future, how is it going to impact us as a society and other societies in the future, but also generational. So kind of doing the research there, having professors to kind of lead us on, but also students who share a similar interest in this and can lead me, can support us. And we kind of have mentors throughout the grades. So first year, second years, juniors, seniors. So it's a really cool experience, but it's also really nice to kind of take a deep dive from a peer end of it and as a student end. So not just kind of sitting on the back end of a professor doing the research, but more so the undergraduates doing the research and the professors kind of being there as mentors. So it's a really cool experience to kind of expand on topics such as machine learning, which prior to even coming to Berkeley or to college was kind of like a foreign term, something very advanced, something that I didn't really particularly know a lot about. I just knew it was super cool, something in the future, very techy, but kind of getting hands-on information and learning more about it has been super cool, and kind of understanding what it is, how it works, and doing that from a scholar side and as a student side has been even so immersive. And I think it just goes to show the various opportunities that are open to undergraduates and students at not just my college, but at every college. And I'm sure Carrie Ann can speak more on this, but there's the opportunities that you didn't even know that were waiting for you that are the most rewarding, most educational, and just most intriguing and wholesome. And I think with that, I've got to connect with so many students from so many different grades, so many different backgrounds, some who aren't even in the data science, computer science field, are pursuing majors completely outside of that scope, but just have a hobby in it. And it's a great way to kind of fulfill that end too. But it's a great experience. I think undergraduate research is something that everyone should partake in, whether it's like freshman, sophomore, whatever year. It's a great experience, and it's a really wholesome way to bond with others and take a deeper dive into a topic you maybe don't even know a lot about. So yeah.
That sounds fascinating. I'm glad you're getting to get that experience so early. And then I find it really interesting that you're double majoring in data science and business. I don't know if people always put those two concepts together. So what kind of intersections do you find between data science and business? And do you know what sort of career you'd want to pursue after college?
Sure. So I think a little bit of a kudos has to go to my older brother because he's the one that kind of jump started this idea. He has a very similar professional career. So kind of he's been my guide and mentor through this. And I knew that I have a passion for data science. And I also love networking and the business aspects of it. So that was always something that I have had on the back end, in high school, that was kind of through mock trial, speech and debate. I always loved like the public forum speaking aspect of it. And in business, I love the statistical and analytical part of it. So there's definitely been those two different separate entities that I've loved to do. And then as college progressed and as that time got closer to kind of picking a major, picking a field to focus in, I didn't want to let go of either one. And I think intersectionally, there's so much to kind of combine and see the similarities in the analytical thinking, the ways that coding in general has taken such a big turn in our generation, and how I think we should encourage it more and more in high school, whether that's through electives or classes. I think those are great classes to take and just know a little bit about in general. I think coding, there's so many ways to incorporate it, medical field, the generic route in business, there's so many models and statistical builds that you can make with it. And I think taking those intersections and kind of figuring out your own interests to combine them. And I think that's super interesting. I have some friends who are bioengineering, and they're also pursuing kind of like a CS minor, CS major to kind of intersect those fields. And I think that's something too in college specifically, where you can combine any kind of focus and make it what you want. It's kind of like your own way to kind of create what you love and focus and pursue that. But I think to kind of answer your question, going back to the intersections of it and the applications of it, I think there's so much to do with it. And I think it's only expanding. And as a first year, I'm just getting a little bit of a taste into Python, R, SQL, and kind of seeing those intersections. But I think more and more there's going to be just those greater overlaps and kind of seeing how I can incorporate both, whether that's business and data science and business, and expanding that even more, I think is super exciting.
Wow, and I could definitely feel the passion you have for it. So that's amazing. And then we just have a little bit of time left. And since we are, doing an AMP Global Youth, aimed webinar, I think we should talk a little bit about AMP. So you're both alumni of our programs. So could you talk about what your experience was like with AMP and how you've used kind of the skills you've gained from AMP in your, college or career?
So to start, I think, AMP was like 2018, early 2018 for me. And I was a completely different person back then. I owe a lot of my experience and leadership skills building from the AMP program. I've also made lifelong friends, who of which I've actually still talked to, like right this second, like after I get off this call, I'm gonna be like, hey, Aaron, like I was just at this AMP program thing I was at. But I've made lifelong friends, and I've made friends that actually decided to come to GW as well. And I've flown to California to see my other AMP friends. So we've all kept a very close, tight-knit network. And so me building that interpersonal relationship with people from all around the country has helped me so much in many ways. It's also developed the program itself has really developed and honed in on what it means to be a leader, or what it means to be a global citizen in a time that we live in now. I was so young back then. I was like 16, 17. I had really no idea what I was to expect. I was just, a wide-eyed, doe-eyed student walking into college for the first time and like seeing what's out there. And the pandemic completely took my life for a spin, and I came out completely different. And AMP, I believe, was one of the big catalysts for those changes in my life. So I've learned a lot of interpersonal relationship skills, how to communicate with people, how to deal with problem-solving issues. But most of all, I attribute a lot of like my leadership skills to those seminars and those workshops we had.
Absolutely. And I think the session that I did was the COVID-19, and it was remote, it was virtual. So definitely a different aspect and a different take on the program, but not in any way less than. And I think in a different way, it was even more than that, because I got to connect with students from Morocco and people that I still keep in touch with today, which I think is amazing. And I even saw a couple of them hop on the Zoom. So I think that's great. But it's just honestly so great to kind of meet those people that you otherwise would honestly probably never cross paths with, and take their take on life in or like wherever they are, and how different values and different associations, political climates, social climates, and kind of their takes and their similarities. And I think it's been so rewarding to kind of have those conversations, but also discover so much more about the culture, the meaning, the way that their life is shaped, the way that their educational system is shaped, and kind of have those conversations and learn from them, but also give your perspective. And I think it's taught me to kind of have a conversation, what to kind of ask, how to lead. And like you said, building those conversations where you can kind of talk about things that are potentially uncomfortable conversations, but learn so much from it and take so much away, and kind of develop your leadership skills as well. And I think Global Scholars is a great way to kind of connect with people that are passionate about the same things as you, whether that's leadership, community building, citizenship, global change, global, whatever it is, there's something uniting all of us. And I think that's something really special, and something really special about the program and the system as a whole. And also the people have made it so incredible. And like Carrie Ann was saying, there are people that I still connect with and talk to on a weekly, monthly basis. And I think it's so rewarding to kind of have those friendships, have those connections, and have those conversations, which are one of a kind. Truly, you can't recreate them. And an opportunity and a system and a community that invites you to have those challenging conversation, and a community that encourages education, but also in a sense, perseverance and a yonder or a yearning to kind of like explore more and learn more and talk to these people, talk to these students in different countries who come in, and kind of ask them the questions that you otherwise wouldn't really get answers to, or things that you've never really thought about. Like, what is the education system in Morocco? How is it different? How is it similar? And I think the similarities are honestly super interesting and intriguing, and things that I would never really think about. But yeah, honestly, I've never gotten another experience like this. And I think it's something truly cherishable and a great experience overall.
Wow, I mean, I'm glad you both had such an impactful experience from Anth, and I echo kind of what you were saying. I think I have made friends from it, and it just learned so much about the world. I think we're kind of at the end of our time, but did you want to leave us with any last advice or message for us to take with?
Yeah, I mean, the only advice I would really say to anyone who's in this call that are still in high school trying to figure out college applications and trying to figure out, you know, if this is the right path they want to do is honestly go with the flow. Really, really, I feel like if I told myself this 4 years ago, I wouldn't have listened. I would be like, Carrie, what are you talking about? But the reality is you just really kind of got to go with the flow. You'll end up where you want to be, and don't try to take your life's direction at a chokehold. You kind of just have to let it happen. And you'll end up where you want to be. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I think that's a great advice. And I think also another aspect to everyone listening, you're probably thinking like, oh, like everything, like the college journey, it's so hard, it's so difficult, and things that we say might sound cliche, but honestly, I encourage everyone to kind of welcome risk and challenge and further excite themselves by the opportunities that are present, and explore the options that you have, even if it's something that you weren't expecting. Because at the end of the day, we can't predict what's going to come. We can't control what's going to come in life. We couldn't predict a pandemic. We didn't really know what was coming our way. And the last couple of years have been a whirl. Like, so much has been up in the air, but I welcome you guys to kind of accept that, challenge yourselves, and see what you can do with it, and see how you can make the most of every single opportunity that's out there, and kind of don't let yourselves be feared away or shied away by things that you're not aware of. Like, just push yourselves and go outside your comfort zone for sure. Like, I know that sounds pretty cliche, and everyone probably has said that so many times, whether that's in the college journey or just outside of that, but truly push yourselves and seek out those opportunities where you have to challenge yourself, learn something, and have uncomfortable potentially conversations, but things that will at the end make you such a stronger, more educated, and absolutely incredible person. And I think because of AMP, you guys are all here. AMP is already leading you in that direction. So kind of continue embracing those challenges and those risks. And yeah, I think you guys are all going to end up where you're supposed to be, whether that's in college or any other journey that's coming your way.
Wow, I mean, great advice. I don't think I can ever top that. So thank you both so much for being on. I thought this was, for me personally, really illuminating, and I hopefully for everyone else watching or who will watch in the future, really appreciates it. So thank you so much, and have an amazing evening. Thank you.